Okay, AP Cal quiz. This is if you don't get the actual answers in class, remember your corrections are worth half credit. So here we go. The first thing we should do with this question is we should write it so we have no negative exponents. So 5x to the fourth plus 3x squared minus 6x plus 8. And then I'm going to write it so it's minus. That stays, the 4 stays. And really the x to the minus 2 comes up to the top as an x squared. This will allow me to rewrite it because a minus 3x squared, a positive 3x squared and a minus 4x squared is minus x squared minus 6x plus 8. Now I can take this derivative very, very easily. dy dx is going to equal 20x to the third minus 2x minus 6. Okay, and that should be the final answer. Next question. This is written in a form that I can deal with. So dy dx is going to equal, remember, just it's a polynomial, so you can take the derivative of each of the monomials. So this is going to be 5 halves times 3x. I'm going to subtract 1 from the top, and when I subtract 1, that's going to be a minus 2 over 2, if you will. So that's going to be 3 halves minus the 3 halves drops in front times 4, which is the original coefficient, x, subtracting 2 over 2 again, we get to the 1 half, plus the 1 half is going to drop in front, 8x, and again when I subtract that 2 over 2, this time I'm going to be left with a negative 1 half. Okay? So simplifying here, there's nothing here that'll cancel, so I have my dy dx is going to equal 15 halves. Just write it that way. I know a lot of you turned it to 7.5, but please, 15 halves is fine. X to the 3 halves. The 2 and the 4 will cancel, leaving you with a 2. So that's minus 6 x to the 1 half plus we have 4 x to the negative 1 half. And I'd accept this. If it wasn't a multiple choice question, you'd have to change that to fit the needs of the answer. All right, question number 3. Now with these questions, the important part is that you discover for yourself, you know, what rule you're following, and that's what a lot of you, not a lot of you, but some of you didn't see. This is the product rule. There are the two functions. Okay? So, dy dx is going to equal the derivative of the first, 2x, times the second, sine x, plus the derivative of the second, cosine x, times the first. All right? And there's really nothing here that I'm going to take out or do anything with that. I guess you could take out an x, but this would be acceptable in this form for now. In number 4, we have a chain rule. It's a power, and then we have something in here we're going to have to take the derivative of. All right, so dy dx is going to equal, I'm going to start with just the power. 5 drops down to the front, minus 3x to the fourth plus 8 is unchanged, to the power minus 1. So the power is now done. Then times the derivative of the inside piece. The derivative of the inside piece is just going to be a negative 12x cubed. When I simplify that, this 5 and the negative 12 can multiply, so negative 60 x cubed times negative 3x to the fourth plus 8 to the fourth power. This is your final answer. All right, we move on to the back questions. So far so good. The back questions, we'll start off with y is equal to y is equal to sine 6x. This is the chain rule. The chain rule because we know the derivative of sine of x is cosine, but we just don't have x here. We have a function. All right, so we have to go ahead and do this. Just to show you, if it's written this way, y is equal to sine, and then the angle is a function, then dy dx is going to equal cosine of that function, and then times the derivative of the function. So that's what we're trying to do. So here, dy dy dx, following that rule, just becomes cosine of 6x, and then times the derivative of that function, which is just 6. And then rewriting it, dy dx is equal to just 6 cosine 6x. And that's all we had to do for that one. All right, number 6, most difficult problem. Just to simplify. So again, you can do your side work if you want. And so I'm going to do that. So my side work, all right, I have the product rule. So first let me denote what the product rule is. If I have f of x times g of x, dy dx is going to equal f prime of x times g of x plus g prime of x times f of x. So I'm going to need an f prime of x, and I'm also going to need a g prime of x. All right, well, my f prime of x, that's going to be my first function. That's x cubed, so that's just 3x squared. And my g prime of x is going to be that bigger function, and that's the chain rule. So it's 5 times the something to the power minus 1 times the derivative of the something. This is what some of us forgot. And the derivative of that something is simply going to be 10x. So when I simplify this, I get 5 times 10x, which is 50x, 5x squared plus 4 to the 4th. And now I'm ready to go. I'm ready to actually take the derivative. So here we go. Derivative of the first, we said before, is 3x squared times the second, 5x squared plus 4 to the 5th power, plus the derivative of the second, that's this, that's going to be 50x times 5x squared plus 4 to the 4th power now. Now, to simplify this, so if you guys got that, I gave you half credit, and the other half of the credit was simplifying, and I need you to start trying to be able to do this. So I'm going to start taking a look at what these two terms have in common, and what these two terms have in common is going to be, oops, sorry, forgot about one thing. I'm not done yet. So it's the derivative of the second, and then times the first. There we go. So now, what everything has in common here is going to be, this is going to be 50x to the 4th, and that's going to be 3x squared. So I'm going to pull out an x squared times, and they both are going to have 5x squared plus 4, but the most they both have is going to be 4 of them. All right? So I'll have a 3 left in this first term. I have 5 here. I pulled 4 out. I'm going to have a 5x squared plus 4 left here. There's my plus sign. Now I'm going to have 50x to the 4th, and I'm pulling out an x squared. So that's going to give me 50x squared. 50x squared. And I pulled all 5x to the 5x squared plus 4 to the 4th power out. So I have that. All right, so now I'm going to bring this down here, because this is getting pretty intense, just so everybody can see it. So I have dy dx is going to equal, I have x squared times 5x squared plus 4 to the 4th, and then times, now coming back up here, this is going to be 15x squared, and that's going to be plus 12. And then I have 15x squared and 50x squared, that's 65x squared plus 12. And that is about how far we can go. And then finally, number 7, this is the quotient rule. So dy dx, oh, let me write it down here. I need more room. dy dx is going to equal, can we see that? Yep. The derivative of the top, 6x, times the bottom, 5x plus 3, minus the derivative of the bottom, 5, times the top, 3x squared minus 2, all over the bottom, 5x plus 3 squared. Now for the most part, we got to just try to simplify the top. In simplifying the top, I'm going to distribute the 6x through here. So I'm going to be doing this and then this. So I get 30x squared plus 18x minus, distribute the 5 through, 15x squared plus 10 all over 5x plus 3 squared. This is going to equal, putting things together, I got 15x x squared, that takes care of these guys. I'm going to have plus 18x plus 10 all over 5x plus 3 squared. And that's your derivative, and that was your quiz.